So, yeah, what's my final number? 43 hours. Oh my god, that's a long one. 43, and we did most things. Like, we did all the main important stuff, you know? Yeah. There's our boy. Looking good. Cool. So, chat. Yeah. Game was fun. What else is there to say? I mean, this is an Assassin's Creed game. Like, the thing about this game that really got me, its initial impression, the opening salvo of the game was quite strong. The way that you fling your weapon and stuff, I really, there's a lot of weird things that kind of intersected that made it kind of a cumbersome system, but not bad. It actually felt okay. Like, it's weird that the same button you press to fling your basic attack, you have to hold it and then press a button for your spell, and then you have different quick slots on your D-pad. The whole system really didn't feel easy to flow between. It was really, really difficult to switch between all that. And you got so many spells. You have to use all your quick slots. It actually seemed kind of unfortunate that you had to spend talent points to open your quick slots, because you're going to need all of them, all 4 of them. And even then, it felt very cumbersome. Very cumbersome. But it still was pretty fun. Like, the way that, like, spells interacted with each other without the talent point felt a little lacking, but then when you put the talents in there, that felt a little bit more enjoyable. I liked that part of it. Actually, the combat was just, like, it never really gained, like, this really satisfying momentum, but it was kind of fun, especially from, like, earning a lot of the spells. Like, as you gained the spells, it was really nice having them. But it was really difficult to, like, have them gel in any, like, really meaningful ways until I started putting some talents into the spell tree. That let me do some cool stuff. I loved freezing and then Bombarda and blowing guys up. That was really cool. Transforming a guy into an explosive barrel and then throw it at someone. That would kill the guy. Plus, the guy you threw the barrel at. It is a lot of damage. It was massive. So, combo was really nice. I like that there are enemies that are affected by certain spells under certain conditions, so that you hoist a toad up and then chop them with the air spell. You can flip them after they fail to tackle and stuff. Really, really enjoyable stuff. I like that. It's a very reasonable, very video game feeling thing that kind of lets you think about, okay, this is what I can do against this guy. The big problem is that it just never really gels together. It never really comes together in this really fun, like, combo system that you can just kind of keep going. It felt like a lot of series of, like, stop and goes. There just was, just randomly I would do, and this is the other thing, when you do your basic attack, the last attack, the 4th one in the chain, that's the only one that does any real damage. So the first 3 are just tiny little ticks of damage, then the last one is like a big chunk. That sucked, because I wanted to, like, levitate a guy, do 3 shots, and then do a spell or something. But that wasn't a really good thing to do. You really are wasting the damage potential of that 4th shot if you don't do it. So it was better to get the 4th shot in and then try and do a spell that would, like, bring him back or something like that. I didn't really like that. It's just things of that nature really made it hard to enjoy the combat system beyond, like, a rudimentary feel. But that rudimentary feel was good. So I don't want to shit on it too hard, but they desperately need to come up with something more for in the next one. They need to build up on this system so that things flow into each other. Maybe do some kind of combo style with your spells. So, like, you can use the Incendio with the Defendu or whatever it was. The Defendu, I think that's what it was called, right? The air move. Like, maybe you can blend them together so that you have an air blast that's on fire or something. You know, maybe it catches things on fire and it does damage over time. And that would just be like a natural use of, like, using both spells at once or something like that. You know, they've got to be able to come up with the next step. They got to blend it all together. It doesn't quite work in that solid, natural feeling way, the way it is right now. Regardless, though, it still felt pretty good. In fact, I mean, I was really into it at the start, but then when I saw the limitations and realized that there wasn't much beneath the surface, that's when I started getting kind of upset. You know, I was getting a little depressed. I was like, oh man, this game is really fun to look at. I like the story. I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan, but I do like the setting, the elements. It's very grandiose. Really sells you. It's kind of has that God of War quality. In the God of War, like when it's really over the top, crazy, you know, brutal shit that Kratos is doing, or just the really amazingly big and crazy set pieces where he's interacting with like crazy monsters and shit. This game's got that because it's about spells. But then we kind of bleed into the next thing that sort of sucks, and that's it sort of downplays the majesty of this setting by reusing a lot of the same stuff, and I mean like monsters. So many of the same monsters. There's very, very, very few creatures to kill. There's just all over the place, same fucking things. Because there's no variety really in the combat system, it makes it really hard to like want to engage with more mages again and again. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is fun to whip a wand out and use it to hit them in the head with their own wand or a weapon and shit like that, but it's just so clunky. It's so clunky to do that, and you're doing it over and over and over and over, and there's no variety. There's no variety to it, so it gets stale and it's tiring. That sucks in an open world game that is as massive as this one. I mean, it's big. I wouldn't say it's massive, but it's big. It's a big game. That really sucks, having a lack of creatures. The main questline repeating those palaces, those mirror palaces and stuff, that was really disappointing. It was nice to see it the first time, but then having to go through it again and again really sucked. Caves and just like all these locations felt very, very similar. And so it was leaving, the initial impression was like, oh, this is really cool, grand, and amazing, but then it just boils down into what can we repeat? Like, how can we reuse, you know, art assets over and over and over and over? And that's largely what it did. It just repeated a lot of the same shit. So that part was unfortunate. And honestly, that's probably one of the biggest reasons why I was starting to be like, I want to get this going. I want to get done with this. You know, by hour 20, I was starting to feel it. You know, by hour 30, I was like, I need to dedicate some real time and get this done. I need to get this knocked out. And we did it, man. Thank God. I'm really happy to have done it today. It's a long ass game. Yeah, so the lack of variety in the combat and in the enemies, the environment isn't really too big of an issue because I like it. It looks good. You still have cool places with the forest and everything. It actually was really fun. And I gotta say, the flying around didn't invalidate it as badly as I thought it would. Like, I like being on my feet so I can loot things and not miss stuff while I'm walking around. But it's just not necessary in this game. They didn't put a lot of things all over the place. So you're really welcome to just fly to wherever you need to go. And you're not going to miss a whole lot. You'll miss little side things if you really want to do them. Maybe if you're completing your book or something, yeah, then you're not really so encouraged. Maybe then you got to be on your legs. But for the most part, not a big deal. You know, and some of the places are neat. Like, I like the Dark Forest. We found that unicorn and snapped them up and stuff. That was cool. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of locations that I thought were pretty neat. Really, I guess the biggest thing that the game has going for it really, really is a big AAA game. So that money, they really infused it with a lot of what money buys you in video games these days. And it's a very big world, very pretty. The mechanics are serviceable. They're actually pretty decent. In fact, I feel like there's potential for a lot more, but like, mechanically speaking, they probably can't get too complicated, I imagine, because you do have to appeal to a lot of people that don't really play games, that are just Harry Potter fans. So I'm not sure how the future is going to go. I don't know what the second one would be like, if it's really going to improve on these marks, but you definitely get what you pay for. This is very much a AAA game, and you know the score. If you've played Assassin's Creed, you know the score. You know exactly how it's going to be. That's kind of I would say that's probably my end-all review, really. It's just that, I mean, Yeah, I would have to say that's probably it, because I keep wanting to re-say it over and over in my mind, but I really like the game as its initial impression, because it's just so big and grand and really cool looking. But then they just start repeating a lot of what you're doing, you know, as they do with these open world games. It's a very AAA thing, right? That's just how it is with these open world kind of games, and that really brings down the Harry Potter experience to me. But it also bleeds into like the combat is very repetitive, the enemies are repetitive, very very similar quest structures and stuff like that. It really has a hard time being interesting in that regard. But the quality is very AAA. A lot of visual quality and stuff like that. It's just a lot of also reused asset and trying to keep that money going. You know, that's AAA game. That's just how it is. And if you've played Assassin's Creed, then you know what you're in for. You're like 100%. But that was really fun. It was really fun. I liked it. Yeah, I think I like it in general. Like, I'm trying to think, like, am I happy with the game? Like, is it cool? Do I look forward to the next one? Am I going to be interested in DLC? And I'm kind of thinking, maybe. Yeah, I think the next one I'd be like, yeah, I kind of liked it. I'm not ending. I'm really glad to finally be done. Maybe in the next one I won't spend so much time doing really ridiculous shit. It's hard to say, but overall, it's one of the least offensive AAA titles I've played. That's a good way to put it too. One of the least offensive. A lot of time AAA titles, they don't even have the gameplay stuff down. They just, you know, write off the title. You know, the last God of War is a good one for me. You know, that one, they just kind of rehashed a similar formula, and they just sort of were like, all right, we don't give a shit about nothing else. We're just going to rehash it, you know? And it's like, it's really dull, boring, bland, and sucked. And that's coming from a guy who liked the newer first one, the first one of the new sets. So, you know, it's not like you can't make a good God of War. This one's not quite like. This one actually hits a lot like the first God of War did to me, the first and the new one, where it's got so much quality to it. It looks pretty. You can really dig into it enough to enjoy it, and it's pretty cool. And even like I said in that one, I felt like the gameplay could be a lot more interesting. Same with this one. Gameplay could be a lot more interesting, and they could take it in directions. I just don't know if they will. And you know, in addition, I'm not a huge Harry Potter guy. I like the movies. That was it. I'm not really a spellcaster. I'm more of a Lord of the Rings kind of dude. I like my swords. I like my knights. That's my thing. And yet this one really kept my attention for pretty much all of it. I didn't even find the main quest to be all that boring. I actually thought it was kind of interesting. I liked it. Side quests were pretty forgettable, except for the Slytherin one, actually. That one actually was pretty something. I felt kind of bad about how that ended, actually. I feel kind of bad. The guy was kind of done dirty. It was a very unexpected ending, and it makes me wonder if there are better choices. Maybe you're supposed to keep him around. I wasn't sure. I really wasn't sure. But, you know, in any case, maybe that's a Harry Potter thing where it's like that house is a very troublesome house. So, maybe. Cool. Yeah. I think the last thing to talk about, and this really, I don't think there's a whole lot to really say about this part. This game is still getting a lot of negative attention from the particulars online. Yeah, it's definitely still getting that kind of attention. It just seems wholly unwarranted to me. There's nothing in this game to make this a political issue. It's just a game. I'm sorry, it's just a game. It's just a fucking video game. I can't see anything else. Nothing in the game has made me think or feel any political spectrum whatsoever. It's a Hogwarts game. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here that you can look at and be like, you know, what's up with these goblins? You know, what's these house elves? You know, is this some slavery shit? What's going on? Like, it definitely makes you kind of look at that like, that's kind of weird. But it's all just some fantasy bullshit. It's all just some fantasy bullshit. And it's all Harry Potter. So as a game, I mean, it does a pretty damn good job of sticking to that Harry Potter lore. In which case, I mean, I don't know why it was made such a big deal. I don't know. And then again, maybe it wasn't that big a deal because I didn't get harassed at all. Like I got harassed off Twitch, but you know, on Twitch, no one ever bothered me. No one had an ill thing to say. Nobody came around and accused me of this or that. I feel perhaps that part of it was, you know, it was real. It existed. It might have been a little overblown, you know. It's like I understand some people were hit harder than others, but I would think if it was as nasty as it was being made out to be by a lot of YouTube celebrities, like a lot of Twitch people and stuff like that, I feel like they would have a lot more to say. I feel like they would have been on a lot more channels. I feel like I definitely would have had a little bit of interaction at one point or not, but that never happened. This whole streaming, this whole playthrough was totally easy. It was just another playthrough. For me, in my stream, this was just another video game. It meant nothing. And so, I don't know. Maybe it isn't that big of a deal. Maybe it kind of got blown out of proportion or something. I'm not sure. In either case, I feel a little let down, you know? Alphabet people, come on, man. What's going on? I'm playing the enemy over here. You guys are just gonna let me go? You guys, you know, you're just gonna let this happen? You're cool with that? You just be like, yeah, all right, we'll just let this guy do what he wants. All right. I mean, if you feel that way, that's cool. Just, I was a little disappointed. I was hoping to get a little, you know, a little bit of sass. You know, some people coming in here saying a few things, sharing a few words. Yeah, I'm pretty open in the chat. You know, I'm not too worried about it. As long as we all stay within the rule sets, you know, that Twitch, you know, happily lays out, I would have liked it. But didn't happen. Didn't happen. And this game probably won't come back for any DLC, I imagine, because I can't think it would be particularly involving. And then Hogwarts 2, yeah, I'll give Hogwarts 2 a shot whenever that happens. And we do know it's already confirmed, like it's already in the works. So that'll be interesting. Yeah, cool. I like the game. I think I like the game. Very traditional open world AAA. You get what you pay for. It's very high quality visuals and stuff, but you don't have the deepest mechanics. They're actually somewhat reasonable, pretty serviceable. You'll get very bored of it very quickly, unfortunately. Even with all the spells and jumping around, it gets pretty boring. You get a lot of the same enemies and shit like that. And you're going to be doing a lot of the same stuff. So it is the Assassin's Creed open world issue that we always run across with AAA. But if you know that, you can have some fun with the spells. They do interact a little bit. Doesn't flow easily, but it does have some enjoyable moments for sure. Blasting people off cliffs, really fun. Yeah, really fun. Yeah, I like it. It was fun. I look forward to the sequel. I'll keep an eye out for any DLC too. I think it'll be great.